Chapter 12. Presently, Kay realised that Abner had reached a lift. He heard the little grille thrust back, then closed. He felt the lift started. Presently it stopped at the top of the shaft. Abner came out into what Kay had judged to be Abner's bedroom. "Hooray, hooray," Abner carolled. "No more of the worry of thinking for all these fools." He put the box upon his table. "There are one or two things I still must do," he muttered. "I say, how it is snowing. I wonder what fool left my window open. There is a foot of snow on my pillow. No doubt about this being a storm. No clergy will get to Tadchester through this." Kay heard him slam the window to and judged, from the muffled sound of the slam, that the snow kept it from shutting. Abner had to clear it before he could snap to the hasp. Now, wait one moment," Abner muttered to himself. "It might just as well be if I heard what my merry mariners are up to. They aren't exactly the kind of lads to trust further than there's need. I'll tune in the wireless to their mess deck." Kay heard Abner turn a switch. Instantly, from just beside him as it seemed, there came a confused, growling murmur of knives and forks and conversation. Then somebody pounded a bottle on a table, and a voice said, "And now, gents, please silence for an intellectual treat. Our gallant captain, known to his enemies as Death Chops, but to us as Rum Chops, is kindly going to oblige with a song of his own make, about one we all wot of. Gents all, pray silence for our great commander's melodious joy." There were loud cheers. Kay heard a chair pushed back. Rum Chops cleared his throat and at once burst into his melodious joy, as follows. "Our Abner is a captain bold, the nimblest ever seen, oh. He thinks to fly with all his gold aboard a submarine, oh. To leave his gang, to wreck or hang, or languish in a jail, oh. While he in his isle does sit and smile, and live on cakes and ale, oh. Says Abner Brown, I will do you down, and none shall find my trail, oh." Loud cheers followed this ditty. "That is clever of Rum Chops," Abner muttered. "I had not given him credit for so much wit. So he has guessed that I am leaving for good. Wait now, there is to be some more. I love the simple mirth of these rough diamonds. Hush now." As the coarse laughter, cheers, banging of pots, table pounding, guffaws and stamping of feet died away, Rum Chops called, "Hold on, gents, all. There's some more about Abner." "Good old Rum Chops," they shouted. "Hark to Rum Chops about Abner. He does old Abner to the life." Rum Chops prepared to sing a second stanza. "I'm going on about old Abner," he called. "What d'ye think of this, boys?" Then he sang. "For oh, he says, I love my time, all secret in the sea, oh, where blushing peach and yellow lime are dangling from the tree, oh, where the breadfruit bun toasts in the sun and comes to lunch on trays, oh, in a hammock cool by the shady pool, I'll read my book and laze, oh, while the gang will be in Pentonville in cells for all their days, oh." "Choruses, gents, please," Rum Chops called. All the terrible sea wolves, bursting with laughter, shouted the last line 3 times. "While the gang will still be in Pentonville, in cells for all their days, oh." After they had sung it, they mocked and roared with laughter. There were cries, "That's exactly Abner, that's Abner all through, him to the island, the gang to Pentonville. My, don't old Rum Chops hit him off. Good old Rum Chops. At it again. Rum Chops once more. Encore Rum Chops. Encore Rum Chops. Rum Chops. A second helping with more sauce, hooray!" "Well, gents, since you are so pressing," Rum Chops said, "I'll try your patience yet once more. There's nothing like good company for making a man do his best, that's sure. Now will you all load your pistols and charge your glasses? We'll give the last chorus fiery honours. Are you ready now? There came the glug-glug of rum pouring from bottles, and the click of many pistol catches being snapped and re-snapped. "All ready, governor," several voices said. "I wonder what is to follow," Abner muttered. He was not long left in doubt. Rumchops pounded the table with a bottle and began a third stanza. "This may be nice for Abner Brown, but not so nice for us, oh, and so we plan to let him drown without unpleasant fuss, oh. When the submarine's seething green and the water's far from shoal, we'll weigh his heels for all his squeals and drop him through a hole, oh. Then bim bam bon for Abner gone, and hot rum punch in a bowl, oh. His golden showers will then be ours, sing hey what joy to the soul, oh." All through the stanza there had been sounds of ill-suppressed joy. But when Rumchops reached his fourth line, there were shrieks of ecstasy. At the fifth line, all present rose to their feet, and towards the end of the sixth bang went all the pistols. Crash went all the glasses. There were yells and cheers, and the last two lines were repeated and repeated. A young pirate called out, "I know another line we could sing. Though Abner Pye has scored to Troy, yet Rumchops kicks the goal." This was repeated a good many times. At last, as the noise abated, the voice of Rat, much excited and rather confused, was heard saying, "I know another line that we can sing." "What line is that?" someone asked. Rat gurgled with laughter. "I'll die laughing at it," he said. "Come out with it, Rat," some voices said. "Stand up and sing it. Up, on your own legs now." Kay could hear Rat's chair pushed back. The clamour ceased for the new line. There was silence. Rat gulped with laughter. "Come on, spit it out, man," someone said. Rat gurgled with laughter. "You'll die laughing at it," he said. "This is what it is. I don't know that I can for laughing here. Oh, something Dylan, something and something Dylan. Oh, no, that's what." He gurgled with laughter. There was long silence. Then Rumchop said, "I don't think I quite followed. Would you repeat that?" The wretched creature repeated it, but seemed to feel that something had gone wrong. There was a long, awful silence. Then Kay heard one of the pirates say, "Where's that nephew of his? Here, Alfred, help your uncle up to bed." Abner turned off the wireless set with a click. "So," he said, "mutiny even here. I rather feared it. No matter. They shall pay the penalty, and I will go to my island by aeroplane. Number 3 plane is at all times ready for the voyage, and these clumsy brutes think to pit their wits against me. So be it. They shall pay dearly. That I promise them. Very good. And now," he added, "now for the great moment. Now for my pouncer. Much as I have suffered from these fools, I have suffered more from my sweet pouncer. But to make sure of my sweet pouncer will be but the work of half an hour." So saying, he left the room, singing a little ditty with a chorus. Hey, trolley-lolly-lo. The clock ticked slowly. It struck for a half hour, then for 10 o'clock, then for 10:30. But Abner did not return. Presently, Kay heard the door open. He thought for a moment that it would be Abner returning, but 2 people came in. "You see my pouncer, what?" a familiar voice said. "I told you he was going to put a double cross on us. There is the boodle, all packed up." "False-hearted, treacherous Abner," the pouncer said. "Ha, ha, what?" the foxy-faced man replied. "My master key will soon resolve the matter." Kay heard him unlock the padlock on the chain and unlock the deed box. "Ha! You see what?" the foxy-faced man said, thrusting back the lid. "Cat's eyes and diamonds, pearls, emeralds and rubies, everything, even the special blue and yellow sapphires." "Never shall he look upon them again," the pouncer said. "Quick, into our suitcase." The pair had a suitcase. "They're going to fly together," Kay thought. In their hurry and excitement, they did not notice Kay, but they thrust bag after bag of jewels into the suitcase. "Wait, you have left something," the pouncer said. "Aye, it's only a bit of rag," the foxy-faced man answered. It was not a bit of rag. It was poor, trembling Kay at the bottom of the box. The foxy-faced man picked him up between thumb and forefinger and pitched him into the grate. Well, luckily, he fell into the ashes, not into the fire. "It was only a bit of old chamois," the foxy-faced man said. "A bit of jeweller's rag. Now, we had better be off." "Wait," the pouncer said. "Fill the box up with coal." "My Sylvia, what an inspiration," the foxy-faced man said. "Never was your equal born." Nimbly he placed some big lumps of coal from the scuttle inside the deed box. He then carefully muffled their jolting with a towel and a tablecloth. "My dear Charles, you think of everything," the pouncer said. "Who would not, inspired by Sylvia?" he answered, taking up the keys. "Now swift, there it is, locked, there is the chain, and there, finally, the padlock. Beautiful, and no traces left." "And now away, my Charles," the pouncer said. "Wait yet, my Sylvia," the foxy-faced man answered. "He has put old Joe in one of the dungeons. We must set old Joe free first. Did you ever see his zoo?" "I never did," the pouncer said. "You shall now," the foxy-faced man said. "We'll have time before the police are here." Kay saw them work the mechanism of the lift and disappear within it. As soon as they were gone, he crawled out of the grate, which was unpleasantly hot. He was half stunned by his fall into the grate, and half choked by the ashes. He was too miserable at the loss of the box to mind these things. All that he could think was, "Now I shall be tiny, like this, unable to help those people, who will all be drowned, and for my own part, I shall be burned when he sets fire to the house." He was crouching in a corner of the room when he heard the lift drawing near. Sylvia, Charles, and Joe came out. Sylvia was wearing 9 diamond necklaces. Kay saw that the suitcase had gone. Joe carried a small bag. Charles had a big dressing case. "They've been repacking for their journey," Kay thought. "There's the box that he'd packed the boodle in," Charles said, pointing to the deed box. "Oh, boodle him the beauty," Joe said. "What can I do against him, I wonder?" "Oh, come along, Joe," Charles said. "I'll put my boot through his window first," Joe said. He kicked through each pane. Snow came driving in a cloud. Sylvia Pouncer peered into the fireplace. "Didn't you throw away a bit of chamois, Charles?" she asked. "I'd like it now, if you could find it, to give my diamonds a rub with." Charles peered into the grate beside her. "It was just a bit of dirty chamois," he said. "Like a little rag, what? I'm afraid it went into the fire and got burned. It doesn't seem to be there now. Perhaps we'd better come along now. Come along, Joe." "No, wait just 1 minute," the pouncer said, "for perhaps it didn't go into the grate, but beside the fireplace here. I thought I saw it, to tell the truth." She poked about quite close to Kay, but luckily didn't see him. "If it's chamois leather you want," Joe said, "you'll find a piece in the kit box in the aeroplane, if that would do." "Yes, that would do," Charles said. "We had really better go." They stole out of the room and were gone. "I shall never find the box again now," Kay said to himself. "If it's in the deed box, Abner will find it, as the boys said he would. If it isn't in the deed box, it's probably in one of those bags which they're carrying. They've been sharing the spoils, evidently. There is just a chance that it has been spilled out onto the floor here. Oh, I do hope it has." He looked with a beating heart, but could not see it. While he was looking, the door of the room opened. Abner came in. "Confound this window," he said. "The snow's drifted in all over the place again and broken the window too. Where on earth has the pouncer got to? Well, I must get going and leave that deed undone." He picked up the deed box, and as he did so, Kay clutched Abner's shoelace and swung himself once more into the turned-up trouser end. Abner did not notice him doing this. He took the lift down to the gallery and walked swiftly to Cole's cage. Near the cage, all muttering, snarling and snapping, was a pack of little aeroplanes and motor cars, each headed like a wolf, plainly ordered by Abner to be guards and annoyances to Cole. Abner stopped, put down the box, sat upon it, and spoke. "Now, Ramon, or Cole, my merry old soul," he said, "I have only one thing to say to you. I want your elixir. How about it?" "No," Cole said. "Nothing that you can offer shall buy the elixir from me. You are unfit to possess it." "You realize the alternative," Abner said. "If I am not to have the elixir, be sure that you will not profit from it. You see this iron wheel in the rock face? It works sluices by which I can flood these cellars at will. I think the elixir would hardly preserve you from 20 feet of water, chained as you are." "Whether it will preserve me or not," Cole answered, "will be known later. But my secret shall not preserve you from anything through any weakness of mine." "So," Abner said, "you remember, of course, that I am offering to bargain your box for your elixir. It is a fair exchange." "You have nothing with which to bargain," Cole answered. "You say that you have my box, or will have it. You're wrong. You will not have it. But I most absolutely refuse to bargain with you in any way whatsoever. I defy you." "Very good, then," Abner said. "In any case, there is no need to continue the conversation." He walked over to the wheel in the rock and cast loose its safety catch. "You still refuse?" he asked. "I do," Cole said. "I most absolutely refuse to bargain with you in any way." "Very good, then," Abner said. "The water shall come in." He took the wheel and was about to swing it round when a thought seemed to strike him. He turned again to Cole. "Wait 1 moment," Abner said. "I confess I do set a little store by your elixir of life. You are not ignorant of magic. If you see my helper, you will hear from him that your box of delights will be mine before midnight. That may convince you." He lifted his hand in the familiar way. There came a noise of dripping, mixed with a limping, hobbling, shuffling step, difficult to describe. In the corridor appeared that boy whom Abner had smitten with the timetable. The creature's head was still deep within his chest, his legs were still telescoped into his body, but his sulkiness and pertness were gone. He was dripping wet. Dead leaves and bits of sodden twig were stuck about him. He came limping, hobbling, shuffling up to Abner, where he stood and dripped and whimpered. "So," Abner said, "the waterfall has taken some of the insolence from you, it would seem. Now, tell this gentleman the truth. The box that I search for, shall I not have it by midnight?" No," the boy whimpered. "You told me that I should have it," Abner said. "I didn't," the boy said. I said you'd have it under your hand, and you've had it under your hand. You've had it under your hand for something like an hour this afternoon, and you didn't know. Now it isn't under your hand, and it won't be under your hand again, and you don't know where it is, and you'll never know where it is." "Tell me instantly where it is," Abner said. "I won't tell you another thing more," the boy said. "You can beg me under the waterfall, or melt me in the fire, or bury me, or blow me through the winds, yet I'll never tell you another thing, except that you had the box and you didn't know it, and now won't have it again, ever. So that's what I call squish to you. Abner smote the boy on the top of his neck, and Kay saw him telescope up under the blow. This time his legs went right through his body and out the shoulders. "Get back to your waterfall," Abner said, "and you will stay there for 7 years. At this moment, Kay saw Cole Hawlings in the cage, lifting his right hand in spite of his irons. As he did so, the boy slowly began to untelescope. The legs went down, the body rose up from the legs, the neck and head rose up from his chest, till there he was, a boy again, looking, Kay thought, rather less bony and unpleasant than he had looked in Abner's study. "Well, I shan't," the boy said to Abner. "I shan't be pegged under the waterfall, for I've been set free, see, from you and yours. You had the box under your hand and didn't know it, and now you'll never get it again. A jolly good squish to you. Squish, Abner!" At this he suddenly became fainter and disappeared upwards. "You see," Cole Hawlings said, "you have deceived yourself. The box will not be yours, nor shall my secret be yours, whatever happens to myself." "Very well," Abner said. "I have other helpers beyond any power of yours. I am not to have your elixir, it seems, and I am not to have your box. Very well. But I shall have something, and that's revenge on you. Do you know what this river and lake are famous for?" "I know what they are infamous for," Cole answered. "A very ugly scoundrel." "They are famous for crayfish," Abner answered. "Little freshwater lobsters, excellent with mayonnaise. Before midnight some of them will have begun upon you, for I am going to drown you, Cole Hawlings, like a rat in a trap." He seized the wheel and spun it round. Kay heard a distant clattering noise, a thud, and then a great, fierce, but still distant roaring rush of water. "You hear?" Abner said. "The sluice is working perfectly. I love the noise of running water. As one of the poets says, 'Beauty born of murmuring sign does pass into my face.' You feel that draught of air rush past? That's air driven out by water. There's a great head of water in the lake. 30 feet of dammed back floodwater is coming after you. It won't take very long to reach you, and now I shall set off with my little earnings to a place of rest and beauty." "You will not set off," Cole answered. "All the exits to this place are now guarded by police." "No police can guard the exit by which I shall go," Abner answered. "Goodbye. My last act before I leave will be to drop a wreath down the sluice for you and your clerical friends. Sleep well, Cole." He kissed his hand to his victim and turned to walk away. As he turned, Kay slipped from the folded trouser edge. He had had enough of Abner. Abner whistled to his guard of little wolves that were yapping and snarling. They came to heel with their little headlights glaring like radiant eyes. One of the little motor cars snapped at Kay and almost got him. They passed rapidly along, following Abner like a pack of dogs at the heel of their master. From far away, Kay heard something give way at the intake of the water. The rush of the floodwater increased suddenly threefold. "Mr. Hawlings," Kay said. "Mr. Hawlings."
"Ah, is that you, Master Harker?"
Cole said, leaning towards the bars of his cage.
"If I were you, I wouldn't keep that size, Master Harker."
"Mr. Hawlings," Kay said, "I have lost your box. I had it. It was shaken out of my pocket somewhere, and now I can't get back to my proper size."
"That's a pity," Cole said. "You are not much bigger than my thumb."
"Yes, and the water's roaring in," Kay said. "And he's got you all chained up in here in these caves. How can I help?"
"I told you, Master Harker," Cole said, "that the wolves were becoming very close. Now they are here."
"Could you suggest something, Mr. Cole, please," Kay said, "that I could do to help?"
"It is not so easy, is it?" Cole said. "Hard rock floor, hard rock ceiling, and thick iron bars in the walls. From the side of the water, too," Cole said. "The lower cellars are pretty nearly full up already. There's a lot of water coming in, and it is nearly here. Mark me, the air hasn't been coming past in such a draught for some minutes. Do you remember the time, Master Harker," Cole said, "when the wolves came very close at Seekings? Yet I got away."
"I do indeed," Kay said. "Could you do something of that sort now?"
"Why, I'm not so sure, Master Kay," Cole said. "Have you such a thing as a pencil and a bit of paper?"
"No, I have not," Kay said.
"That's a pity," Cole answered. "But if you'd come up into my cell here through the bars, that's the style. Well climbed indeed, sir. Now, you see in the corner there, my coat that they took from me. I can't reach it. I am chained. If you can rummage in the pockets, you should find a bit of paper and a pencil."
Kay went to the corner of the cell. There was Cole's coat tossed in the corner. To such a tiny being as himself, it looked like the mainsail of a line of battle ship. Sticking from one of the pockets was a piece of timber, which looked like a bridge pile sharpened for driving, or a newly cut larch sapling. Near it was a pocket-book, some 4 times bigger than himself. "I can't use these," Kay said. "I can't lift a pencil, nor open the pocket-book."
"Get down into the pocket, Master Harker," Cole said, "for inside, if you grope, you may find a bit of lead that was broken off, and a crumpled sheet or 2.
Kay crept into the pocket. It was rather like going into a coal mine. There were some crumbs, so dry that they were now rough and sharp, like lumps of rock further down, beside a penknife bigger than himself, and a spectacle case that might have been a coffin for him. He found a bit of lead, in weight and shape like a porker. Near it was a bit of folded paper. He dragged these out into the light. "I've got them," he said.
"Good, Master Harker," Cole said. "And now, perhaps it may just be that the wind will set a little in favour of a travelling man. Now, are you a good hand at drawing, Master Harker?"
"No, I'm not very good," Kay said, "except at horses going from right to left."
"Well, I am not very good at drawing," Cole said, "with 200 weight of chain on each wrist. But can you unfold that paper, Master Harker, and draw on it 2 men with hammers and cold chisels smiting off these irons?"
"I'm afraid I'm not very good at drawing men," Kay said. "I can draw horses going from right to left, and trains going a bit the other way."
"Well, I suppose you draw horses, Master Harker," Cole said, "coming to bite these chains in 2.
Kay opened the folded sheet of paper, which was Mr. Horlings's bill at the drop of dew by Henry Cockfarthings. He'd never before realised how troublesome a sheet of paper can be when it's rather bigger than a blanket, naturally of a stiff quality, and already crumpled from some days in a pocket. As he drew it out, opened it, and bent back the crumpled corners, he became suddenly aware that the wolves were running with a little whirring snarl. Little motor cars with wolf heads rushed at him from different points of the cave and snapped at him.
"Don't heed those, Master Kay,"
Cole Horlings said. It was not so easy not to heed them, for they came at him with such malice that the snapping of their bonnets was very terrifying. Any bonnet of them all was big and strong enough to snap him down into the engines, where he would have been champed up in no time. For about half a minute he wrestled with the paper, trying to get it flat. The little motor cars snapped at him all the time. Snap, snap. One of them would run behind him and snap at his ankles, while another darted at him to bite his toes. Then he realised that though they snapped very near, they never really bit him. He himself was in some ways safe. They could only annoy and hinder. Presently he straightened out one corner of the paper. Instantly, one of these snapping motor cars rushed over it and crushed it back.
"Hit them with the pencil, Master Kay,"
Cole Horlings said. This was very much like saying, "Hit them with the lamp-post," or "Whack them with the telegraph pole." "I don't think I can lift a pencil," Kay said. "It's too heavy."
"Well, try now,"
Cole said. Kay tried, and his great delight found that he could lift the great fir tree of a pencil.
For a moment he felt like one of those heroes at the Scottish Games, tossing the fir tree for a haggis. As the motor car came at him once more, trying to force the paper from under him, he smote the bonnet a lusty blow. The car at once upset and rolled over and over and over with a puncture in all four wheels. A whimper of pain came from its klaxon, and the other little wolf motor cars drew to one side and clashed their bonnets at Kay, snapping and snapping.
"Now draw, Master Harker," Cole Hollings said. "2 horses, coming to bite the chains in 2.
"Do you mean coming head-on?" Kay said. "I don't think I've ever drawn horses coming head-on. I always make them look so like cows."
"Well, try it, Master,"
Cole said. Kay went at it with the piece of lead like a poker on the crumpled paper, big as a blanket, which kept rolling up and hitting him. Somehow it seemed to him that when he drew, or what he drew for once, actually looked rather like a horse. Then suddenly, at him out of the air, with a whirring yap, came little aeroplanes with heads like wolves. They snapped their propellers at him and tried to knock the lead from his hand. This was very much worse than being attacked by hornets, and while he was dodging their attacks, the wolf motor cars began again.
"Bat them with the pencil, Master Harker,"
Cole said. Kay put down the lead and seized the pencil, but the creatures were as cunning as wolves. They skipped away. When he put down the pencil, they were at him again, the motors snapping at his heels, the aeroplanes all around him. Kay lifted the lead with which he was drawing and smote with it on the propeller of one of the aeroplanes. The propeller snapped. The aeroplane crashed into 2 others. They spun round and round in flames and set fire to one of the motor cars, which exploded.
"That's away, Master Harker,"
Cole said.
"Now the other horse."
The wolves stood aside while Kay finished the second horse.
"There you are, Master Kay," Cole Hollings said. "You come over to my side now a moment, and stand that paper up on its end, so that we may take a good look at it."
Kay put the paper on its end and stood beside the old man, who was indeed laden down with chains. There were great shackles on his ankles and knees, which were chained to ring bolts in the stone. A great weight of chains secured his wrists to his ankles.
"Watch the paper, Master Harker,"
Cole said.
"Don't heed the chains."
Kay looked at the horses in his drawing. Sometimes in earlier days, when he'd drawn horses, he felt that his effort had some merit. These today were first end-on horses drawn by him. Somehow, they did really look like horses rather than cows. They hadn't got the Newfoundland dog look that most of his horses had, he thought. "I'd like to keep those drawings. They're the best I've done." In fact, the drawings did stand out from the paper rather strangely. The light was concentrated on them. As he looked at them, the horses seemed to be coming towards him out of the light, and no, it was not seeming. They were moving. He saw the hoof casts flying and heard the rhythmical beat of the hooves. The horses were coming out of the picture, galloping fast and becoming brighter and brighter. Then he saw that the light was partly fire from their eyes and manes, partly sparks from their hooves. "They're real horses," he cried. "Look!" It was as though he'd been watching the finish of a race with 2 horses, neck and neck, coming straight at him at the winning post. They were 2 terrible white horses with flaming mouths. He saw them strike great jags of rock from the floor and cast them, flaming from their hooves. Then, in an instant, they were there, one on each side of Cole Hollings, champing the chains as though they were grass, crushing the shackles, biting through the manacles, and plucking the iron bars as though they were shoots from a plant.
"Steady there, boys,"
Cole said to the horses, as he rose and stretched himself. He put on his coat, pocketed the paper, pencil and lead, and placed Kay on one of the horses.
"Now, Master Harker, I will put you up on this one," he said. "Hang on to the mane. I will take the other. We will see if we can get out of this. I will lead the way, Master," he said. "Hang on to the mane, for you're rather small for a horse this size."
He turned the horse along the rocky corridor. No light burned in that part, but the horse gave such light that it was like daylight wherever they went. They'd not gone far down the corridor when Cole said,
"No, we're a little too late to go this way. The water's coming in."
There before them, the water was coming in. Little wave followed little wave, each marking the rocky walls at a higher level. It came in, muttering and snarling from somewhere far away to the left. Angry little eddies spun away with dead leaves and bits of twig. The corridor was windy with the air displaced by the water. Everywhere in that expanse of caverns there was the booming, roaring, drumming of water echoes. The horses shied at the water. When their hooves touched the stream, they hissed and smoked as white-hot metal will when wetted.
"Back a little, Master Harker,"
the old man said.
"These horses are fiery. They cannot bide water, which puts out fire, as you know. We must get back up the passage a piece, and we have not too much time by the look of things. The water's coming in very fast."
He swung himself down from the horse and helped Keir down.
"Steady there, boys, and give us light,"
Cole said.
"We must proceed once more as before,"
he said.
"With this paper and pencil. Draw me a long, roomy boat with a man in her, sculling her."
"I'm not very good at boats, and I've never drawn a man sculling," Kay said.
"Draw now,"
Cole Holdings said.
"and put a man in the boat's bows, and draw him with a bunch of keys in his hand."
"I shan't make much of a hand at that," Kay said. However, it was not so difficult as the horses had been. Old Cole was there to hold the paper and keep away the wolves. They were there, muttering at some little distance. He could see their wicked little red lights and hear them snarling. The thing that he was afraid of was the water, and that was rising rapidly. He could see that the horses were alarmed. "Well, here's the boat," Kay said, "and then here's the man sculling. Now, this is the man standing in the bows with a bunch of keys."
"Won't you give him a nose?"
Cole said.
"Men do generally have them. They are fine things to follow on a dark night when you can't see your way."
"I'm afraid the nose is rather like a stick," Kay said. The old man took the drawing to the water, set it afloat, and watched it drifting away. Somewhere, far away to the left, there came the noise of another rock or barrier collapsing under the pressure of the stream. Instantly, the water swirling intensified and took to itself an angrier note. Bigger waves rushed out of the darkness at them and licked up more of the floor. "The sluice mouth has given way," Kay said.
"That is so," Cole Holdings answered. "But the boat is coming too, you see."
Indeed, down the stream in the darkness of the corridor, a boat was coming. She had a light in her bows. Somebody far aft in her was heaving at a scull which ground in the rowlocks. Kay could see and hear the water slapping and chopping against her advance. The paint of her bows glistened from the water. A man stood above the lantern. He had something gleaming in his hand, and it looked like a bunch of keys. As he drew nearer, Kay saw that this man was a very queer-looking fellow with a nose like a piece of bent stick. The boat drove up into the corridor beside them. The man with the nose like a piece of stick steadied her with a boat hook. The sculler was a bushy-bearded man with his face hidden under a boat cloak. He bent down in the stern of the boat and thrust over a plank. Cole lifted Kay into a safe place in the stern sheets, and then turned to fetch on board the horses, who stamped, snorted and backed, not liking the water. Kay, who was always thrilled by the presence of horses, clambered up onto the gunwale to see them come on board. He half expected to see the boat upset, but Cole and the boatman so trimmed the boat that the first horse clambered on board without trouble. The second horse was more nervy, and that made the boat rock. Cole brought it on board and soothed it down in the stern sheets. His eyes stared and his crest rose at the rising water.
"There, there,"
old Cole said.
"And now perhaps we'd better shove off to see if we can save some other prisoners."
We haven't too much time, the way the water's coming in.
Kay looked along the corridor in the direction from which the water was pouring. It was now so brightly lit that he recognised stalactites which he'd passed earlier in the day with Abner. There, near one of the stalactites which he'd previously noticed, something was shining on the floor just above the edge of the stream. It caught the light and sparkled. Kay looked at it with attention. It must be some of Abner's diamonds, he thought. Then he thought the thing was shining not from reflected light, but from light of its own. He wondered for a moment whether this were an underground snail or slug that had a power of phosphorescence. He seemed to have read that there were such things. Then the lipping water touched it and seemed to lick it away an inch or two. Then as the next gush of water came, it sidled from its place onto the current, drifted a couple of feet towards them, stuck an instant, and then came dallying along the edge of the stream. "Oh," Kay said, Look at your box. However did it get there? The foxy-faced man must have dropped it."
"That is what it is," old Cole said. "And what quick eyes, Master Harker."
The old man went swiftly along the board's length and vaulted over the gunwale into the stream, which was now over his ankles. He had been quick, but the little aeroplanes now darted down at the shining prize. One of them swooped at it and missed, tried to rise from the water but failed and went directly under the current with a great noise of sizzling. A second darted out. All the wolf motor cars dashed to the brink of the stream. Cole knocked the aeroplanes aside, caught the glittering treasure as it sailed by, then scooping the water with his free hand, he splashed it into the champing bonnet of the nearest motorcar wolf, which at once stopped working and sputtered. Cole vaulted into the board.
"Shove off,"
he said. He reached to Kay and at a touch restored his shape.
"That's rather better, Master Kay,"
he said. "Indeed it is," Kay said. "And look, there are some oars floating. They must have come from the lake." He leaned over the side of the boat and salved one oar. Cole salved a second.
"Now here we are," Cole said. "You stand on that side, Master Kay, and shove her off the rocks. I'll do the same on this side."
The current drove the boat into the alleys of blackness. The gallery in which they were floating was now almost full. They had to stoop to avoid the roof. Often they snapped off the stalactites as they passed. The boat drove into another gallery, and there, clinging to a stalactite, submerged up to the waist, was a drenched and sodden rat, crying, "Pity a poor drowning man, an old naval pensioner what give his youth for the Empire." The old man with the boat hook said, "I'll fetch that chap a clip as we pass." No, Kay said. "He'll help us to find the prisons." Cole Hollings leaned over and pulled the rat on board by his mangy collar. He was very cold with wet and terror. He shivered with chattering teeth. "That's what comes," he said, "of having systems what burst. Time was when a cellar was a cellar, but now in these upside-downside days folk keep their water with their wine, it seems." "You know these cellars," Kay said. "Where are the prisons with the clergymen in them?" "Would they be what you call religious parties?" the rat asked. "They're along here, quite close. I was having as nice a little bit of religious biscuit as I ever ate out of one of their pockets when this water came in and I had to leave it. That's life, that is. A poor man works for 5 years and gets nothing. Then when he gets a bit of biscuit, the cistern bursts, and such is life, that's what." "They were along here?" Kay asked, pointing to the cave. "They were along there," the rat said. "So was the biscuit, but the biscuit will be pulped by this, and the religious party's not much better. My young nephew Alf will have his water in his works too, I shouldn't wonder, which would be a loss. As pretty a young larcener he was as I ever tried, so the judge said. I suppose you ain't got a bit of bacon rind you could give a poor man?" "No, we haven't," Kay said. "There's nobody keeps bacon rind now," the rat said. "They're too proud, stuck up, I can't. Yeah." The boat drove under a low-hanging stretch of cave. There, near a stalactite, was a hole in the roof. Kay thought that he saw the evil mouth of Alf there, saying, "Up it, Uncle," as the boat drove under the stalactite. Kay thought it was Alf, stretching a dirty paw. The rat sprang, caught it, swung himself to the hole and disappeared into it. "Well, that's got rid of him," Kay said, "and there are the cells." He was wrong. It was not the prison. It was the cell containing Caroline Louisa. "It's all right," Kay cried. "We're coming to get you out."
"Try your keys, Keyman,"
Cole said. The man with the nose like a broken stick took his keys and opened the door without difficulty. "I'm afraid you are sopping wet and half frozen," Kay said to Caroline Louisa as he helped her in. "But we'll soon get you to some dry and warm things. Do you happen to know the way to the other prisons?" "I don't indeed," she said. "They weren't anywhere near here." At this moment, they heard a hail from along the corridor. "Boat ahoy!" Somebody away there in the darkness of the alley was clapping hands and shouting to attract attention.
"Who are you?"
Cole cried.
"The Chichester Cathedral staff,"
the bishop's voice answered. The boat drove on along the gallery. There indeed, ankle-deep in the stream at the edge of the corridor, were the bishop, the dean, the archdeacon, the bishop's chaplain, the canons, the minor canons, the precentor, the organist, the master vestiator, the bursar, the librarian, the chief theologian, and Peter Jones. Cole and his crew helped them on board. "How on earth did you all get out?" Kay asked.
"Oh," the bishop said, "we've been out some time. A man and a woman came down to let out a friend of theirs, called Joe. They went away with him, but after a minute, Joe ran back with the keys and let us all out, and said it would be sure death to us to follow him, but that there was another way out, to which he directed us. We started as he told us. The caves were lit at that time. Then some terrible scoundrels, pirates evidently, wearing red aprons and sea boots, came stamping along, led by one whom they called Rumchops. They said it's no good going that way, or the lower caves are full already, and our submarines at the bottom of them sunk, mizzle, so they told us. Dead right about, or you'll be sunk too. They ran on and we followed them, but all the lights went out suddenly, and we lost them. Since then we've been groping in the dark, almost at the end of our matches and our hope. Where are we? Can you tell us?"
"Down in the heart of the Chester Hills," old Cole said. "But perhaps we'll get you out before long. Give way all." They shoved the boat on upstream, pulling with oars and boat-hook, heaving with eager hands against the rocks. "Where are the others?" Kay asked. "What others?" the dean asked. "The bell ringers, the choir boys, and at least half the choir," Kay said. "Oh, and the friends of the cathedral, and perhaps a lot of others."
"Shout, everybody,"
Cole said.
"If they've not all been drowned, they might hear us."
They shouted. Their voices echoed and boomed among the galleries. It seemed to Kay that some of the sound of voices could be heard when the echoes died a little. "Isn't that singing?" he said.
"Ah, what quick ears, Master Harker," Cole said. "Singing it is, away along there in the darkness. Heave all together now, for they must be sorely pressed."
They drove on against the stream. Presently they heard the voices of the bell ringers and some of the choir singing, "Good King Wenceslas." They shouted to reassure them, and soon heard answering shouts. Very soon the boat was alongside the cage, where the poor fellows stood in the cold water which was already over their knees. It was pitiful to hear the piteous cries of the choir boys, some of whom were saying, "Oh, if I'd only known, I'd never have cheeked my poor mother," or "If I could only have my time again, I'd do what my kind master told me," or "I wish I hadn't tied that tin can on the dog's tail," or "If only I could get away, I'd burn my catapult, and I would be good. Oh, I'd be so good."
"Cheer up,"
Cole shouted to them.
"We'll soon get these locks open."
But to get these locks open was not easy. It was a different kind of lock from any the keyman had known. He tried one key after another.
"No, they won't fit these locks," he said. "You want the handcuff king for these."
"Oh, please be quick, sir. Please be quick,"
the boys cried. "It's up to our knees already."
"I'm afraid it's no good,"
the man with the keys said.
"I can't get these locks to work." "I've got keys. Try these,"
the bishop said.
"And these,"
the dean said. But no, none of the keys fitted.
"There's nothing for it,"
the keyman said sullenly,
"but to compose yourselves onto a set of watery tunes."
"A set of watery rubbish," Cole said, heaving himself out of the boat to the door. "Let me have a look at these locks."
"Why,"
Cole said,
"no wonder you couldn't get them to work. They aren't locks. The doors have spring catches and not locks at all. You have only got to open them by the handle here. There you are. Now come out. See that you're all out, and mind you don't swamp the boat as you get on board. Lively with you now. That's the ticket. Come now. Are you all on board?"
"Yes," the master bell ringer said. "This is the lot of us."
"Well," Cole said, "if you are all on board the lugger, we'll push off then, upstream. These galleries are almost full to the roof now. There is not much room for us. We all have to do what they do in the barges in the London tunnels, all lie on our backs and push the boat forward by our boots upon the ceiling."
All in the boat laid down upon their backs as Cole had bidden, and pushed the boat forward by getting their boots against the roof of the corridor. The sculler alone did not lie down. He bent in the hollow of the stern sheets, heaving at his oar, which grunted in the rowlock and splashed with the blade. The precentor kept the time for the kickers. 1 heave, 2 lift leg, 3 boat on the roof, then 1 heave. The boat forged slowly ahead, with gurglings and cluckings of water. There was a great current against them, and in some places the roof was very near. Kay could see little safe archings of rock, which sometimes glistened with water and was sometimes hung with stalactites. His little legs were so short they were not much good in heaving the boat forward. In one place, the river ran through a wide cavern, the wall of which had been painted with a procession of men leading bulls and horses.
"That was our old religion, Master Harker,"
Cole said, nodding towards it.
"It was nothing like so good as the new, of course, but it was good fun in its day, though, because it ended in a feast."
"You didn't eat horses," Kay said. "Did you?"
"Ah, didn't we?"
Cole said. After this they came into a narrow cave where the current was very, very strong. A sort of glimmer of light showed ahead.
"There is moonlight, and there is the sluice,"
Cole cried. Kay sat up. There ahead was a silvery shaking patch of light, with a troubled roaring water pouring down in a fall. All about them the water eddied and jubbled. The boat tossed. The men heaving with their boots trebled their efforts, and slowly the boat plunged forward against the rush.
"We'll never get up a fall like that,"
the bishop said.
"Where a salmon can go, a man can go,"
Cole said. The boat drew slowly nearer against the rush of the stream.
"This is only the first half of it,"
Cole said.
"There is another fall above this, but lay hold of that tumbled tree there. It seems to me to be jammed firm. We can haul ourselves up by that."
Jammed along the length of the fall, boughs downward, was a young fir tree. Leaning over the side, all who could caught hold of the trunk of this. Heaving all together, they drove the boat into the rush and upward. Icy cold water spurted all over them in a sheet, but they hove again, held all they had won, and then hove onward. Heaving all together, they drove the boat up to the top of the first fall. There beyond them, as Cole had said, was another, shorter fall. In bright moonlight, at the mouth of this upper fall, Kay saw Abner heaving on a big winch handle which worked the sluice there. Abner was crying out, "This thing has jammed. It ought to be wide, but it's only half open. Open, will you?" He hove and hove. Then he left the winch handle and dug at one of the cogwheels with a knife.
"It's this cog that's jammed," he cried. "Open, open."
The boat forged forward to the foot of the second fall.
"We are in luck's way," Cole said. "See, there is an iron railing along the fall.
We can heave up by that.
All hands seized the iron rail and drove the boat up. In the fury of his own effort, Abner heard nothing of the boat's approach. Kay saw him fling off his coat and again heave up on the winch. The boat was just behind him, but he knew nothing about her. Kay heard him cry, "She's moving, she's moving, there she goes." He burst into song. We'll pull up the sluice, let in the stream, cover them deep so they won't sing hymns in the morning.
"Now," Cole said, "heave together, heave."
Under their enormous heave, the boat moved up in spouting, drenching jerks. She paused for one instant on the timbers of the sluice boards. Kay distinctly felt them give way beneath the boat's weight, but the boat, under the impetus of the final heave, drove on past the astonished Abner and roaring fall into the calm water of the lake. Just as Kay passed Abner, something big swooped silently down and hovered just over their heads. Kay saw that it was one of the silent aeroplanes used by the gang. A light suddenly went up within its pilot house. On the side of the car, the words "Number 3 plane" appeared in red. Kay saw the pouncer, the foxy-faced man, and Joe leaning from the windows. "Oh, Abner, did you really think to diddle me?" the pouncer called. "We've got all your jewels, Abner, ha 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 ha." "Oh, what?" the foxy-faced man cried.
"Goodbye, Abner,"
Joe called. Kay saw Joe lean further out and heave down what seemed like a bomb on Abner's head. It struck his head and exploded, but it was not a bomb. It was a 2-pound bag of flour.
"Got him,"
Joe said. Then the aeroplane lifted and was away into the air. The flour covered Abner's head and shoulders like a mane. For an instant he stood like one stunned, not knowing what had fallen on him. Then he turned, scraping the flour from his eyes, not seeing and perhaps not remembering where he was. He came too near the sluice. He slipped, he clutched, he gave a startled cry and fell headlong into the torrent. For an instant Kay saw his legs flail. Then they were sucked down into the gulf and disappeared. Before any of the people in the boat could fling off coat and go in after him, there came a swift warning noise of yielding in the structure of the sluice, now all sapped by the pouring of the cataract. It collapsed suddenly and utterly. With one great swirl, the released water surged over it and filled its mouth.
"Forever and forever farewell, Cassius,"
Cole quoted. The boat drove out into the moonlit lake. But oh, how the scene had changed since Kay had been there in the morning. The world was white with deep snow. Many trees were branchless or broken. Those which remained were bowed with the great clots of snow upon them. But what was happening at the training college? There were lights in all of the windows. Many men were floundering with lanterns outside the house. Men were calling. There were shouts of, "Here's another one of them, hiding in the outhouse. Another pair of handcuffs for this chap, quick." A party of men in the snow near the lakeside hailed to the boat to stop. The voice of the inspector cried, "Halt there, in the boat, halt there. We have got you covered. Who are you?" "It's the Bishop of Tatchester and all the prisoners," the bishop called.
"Why, is that you, your grace?"
the inspector answered.
"Pass the word that the bishop's saved, and you, your grace, would ask your boatman to come in towards the shore a bit."
As the boat drew in, he said,
"Well, thankful I am, your grace, to see you safe and sound again. Is this all your party?"
"Yes, everyone, we're all here," the voices answered.
"Pass the word to the wireless men,"
the inspector called.
"to report all saved. We are in time, it seems,"
he added.
"But it was a near thing. I'll tell your grace how it all came about. The chief constable thought we'd better act on Master Harker's information, but by that time the snow made it difficult to get here. However, what with planes and a will, we just did it. We've got most of these birds already, and we'll have the rest before dawn. They can't get far in this snow, and we'll have the leader too, for all he's so clever."
"He's gone down into the caves with the flood," Cole Hawlings answered. "I don't think any man will find any part of him again. Now can we come ashore there?"
"No, don't you try it here," the inspector cried. "You'll never get through the snow on this side. The drifts are 6 feet deep between me and you. But on the other side, just opposite, by the bathing box, looks to me to be clearer. They'll tip the snow just clear there. By the way, Have you got Master Kay Harker among you?
Yes, Kay cried. I'm here. Have you got their submarine?
Oh, I'm glad to see you safe, Master Harker. It's through you that all the rest are safe,
the inspector called back.
No, we've not got the submarine. They left her windows open, she sunk, and very nearly took the crew with her. But we've got the crew. As choice a lot as ever graced handcuffs. You trust the little Master Harker. Sometimes she's slow, but she's always sure. The law's motto, Master Harker, is, the law never sleeps, though it knows when to close its eyes. Oh, Master Harker, my nephew's down for Christmas, and he's bought a pair of Belgian hares for you, as pretty a pice pair as ever I did see. Now, I must go to my men here, but if you will shove your boat over there by that little baiting box, I think you'll get ashore there without being sunk into the snow.
They gave way as well as they could with their 2 oars, a plank, and a boat hook. Presently they ran the boat alongside the springboard and clambered out. The 2 horses whinnied and shook their manes. The 2 boatmen leaped on their backs and galloped away, straight up the slope of the Roman camp. They disappeared over the rampart and were seen no more. But indeed, now that the party had landed on the lakeside, they were amazed at the snow that had fallen in so short a time. The weight of snow had levelled all the lesser shrubs to the earth. There was no cover anywhere for so much as a rabbit. From time to time along the wood there came a melancholy cracking crash as some other bough or tree gave way under the strain. Quite close to them, in what had been thickets in the wood, the wind had driven the snow capriciously into drifts that might well have been 8 or 9 feet deep. Kay, who remembered the path near the water, was amazed to see it so deeply covered. But whatever the storm had been, it had now passed over, leaving a clear sky with a full moon shining so brightly that only the very big stars could be seen.
It's 11 o'clock at night, after 11, the bishop said. We'd better push on to Hope under Chester's and telephone from there.
They took a few steps along the path towards Hope under Chester's, and then realised that it might well take them all night to flounder through the drifts. No one there had ever seen such snow.
Well, it's very disappointing, the bishop said. I'm afraid that after all there is no chance of our holding our midnight service in any church in the diocese. I'm not so sure, Your Grace,
Cole Hollings said.
A travelling man who goes up and down the world, he finds ways of doing things, or doesn't he?
He asked Kay. I think he does, Kay said.
You think he does?
Cole Hollings said.
I think by this and that, we needn't give up hope yet. Listen all.
The night was so still that they, standing there in the snow, could hear the bells of 9 churches ringing for Christmas. The precentor, who'd been a curate in that district, told Kay which village each bell belonged to.
That one, he said, with the tenor bell that needs recasting, is Naunton Cruces. Old Father Goodman has rung that bell for 49 Christmas Eves, and this is his 50th.
Above the noise of the bells, Kay heard the jangling of lesser bells, or so it seemed. Then it died away so that it felt like he was mistaken. But immediately it broke out again louder than before. They were bells not ringing to any tune or time. They're sleigh bells, he said.
Why, it's Father Christmas, said the precentor, coming with his team of reindeer.
But it was not Father Christmas. Over the wall of the Roman camp some lights appeared. The bells rang loud and clear. Leaping towards them, seeming hardly to brush the snow with their paws, came a magnificent team of harnessed lions, drawing a long sledge driven by a lady whose eyes shone like sparks of fire. Kay saw at once that she was the lady of the oak tree who had stood by Bob's shop waiting for a word from Cole Hollings. Outside the glove of her left hand was the strange ring with the St. Andrew's cross upon it. Kay was amazed at the beauty and strength of the lions, their gleaming eyes and the way in which they tossed back their manes and snarled, or scuffled the snow with their pads, or showed their teeth with coughing, terrifying roars. He had never seen lions so beautiful, so powerful, or with eyes so full of yellow flame. "Get in, Bishop," the lady said. "I can take half of you in this sleigh."
The bishop and some of the others got into the sleigh, which seemed to be made of bright gold. It was heaped with great scarlet rugs and the furs of strange beasts. As soon as they were snugly in the sleigh under the rugs, the lady called, "I must start before my team starts quarrelling with the other team." She called to the lions, who bounded forward, roaring. All the bells upon their traces and on the rim of the car jangled out clearly and seemed to Kay to strike now into a kind of tune. Kay saw them whirl round in a half-circle, sending a great sheet of snow aloft. Then they strode on to the night, striking sparkles out of the air. Kay heard the precentor, who was sitting with the bishop, start singing the first Noel, and they were out of earshot in half a moment. A second sleigh drew near. Kay had been delighted by the first sleigh, though the lions had a little scared him. But what was his delight when he saw that the second sleigh was drawn by unicorns! "Oh," he said, "unicorns! They always told me they never existed." But there was no doubt about these. It was a team of 8 of the most beautiful unicorns that ever stepped. In build they were something like the very best white Arab stallions, only slimmer in the barrel and even neater in the leg. They had the same proud little heads and twitching nostrils. They were all snow white except their hooves, which were a bluish sheen. From their brows sprouted the most exquisite white horns about 2 feet long, sharp as needles and glowing. Kay thought it looked rather like mother of pearl, but perhaps that was the effect of the moonlight. Their traces and harness were of silver, all studded with moonstones. They were driven by a man whose sleeves were hung with little silver chains. In his helm there were antlers. Over his glove a red cross glowed upon a ring. "Oh, it's Hern again," Kay said. "I do love going with Hern the Hunter."
"Jump in, the rest of you," Hern cried. "There will be room for all of you."
The sleigh was heaped with polar bear skins and great white fleeces from some mountain sheep. They all clambered on board and snuggled down into the fur. The driver called to his unicorns, who at once whinnied together and tossed up the snow with their hooves. They too, like the lions, whirled around and sent the snow flying in a cloud. Then away they went, whirling through the heaven, striking sparkles out of the air. Old Cole Haulings touched something. All the side of the sleigh at once thrust out lighted Japanese lanterns attached to long streamers. Smaller lanterns flew out from the reins of the unicorns as they sped. Cole Haulings, who had a most beautiful voice, Kay thought, began to sing this carol.
"George took his lantern from the nail and lit it at the fire. He said the snow does so a sail. I'll shut the cows in a byre. Amid the snow by a door, a man and woman lay. George pitied them, they were so poor, and brought them to the hair. At midnight, while the inn kept feasts, and trump and whistle blew, George heard a trouble in the beasts, and to the stable drew her. And there within the manger bars a little child new-born, all bright below a cross of stars, and in his brow a thorn. The oxen low to see their king, the happy donkey brayed, the cocks and hens on perch did sing, and George knelt down and prayed. And straight a knocking on the door, and torches burning red, the 2 great kings with Melchior, with robes and wine and bread, and all the night time rolled away, with angels dancing down. Now praise we that dear babe today, that bears the cross and crown. Now, brothers, Cole sang, sing this last bit all together, will you?
And they joined in with a whirl, and then made Cole sing it all again, so they might sing the chorus after each stanza. It was most beautiful to drive through heaven thus. The shining country spread out below them was starred by the lights in villages and towns, and musical with bells ringing for Christmas. The rivers gleamed where they caught the moonlight. Sometimes big, white and tawny owls came floating alongside the sleigh, so close that Kay could reach out his hand and stroke them. "I say," he said, "how beautifully your unicorns move."
"You see, Master Kay, they hate being beaten by the lions,"
Herne said. Kay had some misgivings as to what would happen if they caught up with the lions. Then he thought that the drivers would probably be able to stop any fatal battle.
"There is land, you know,"
Herne the hunter said. Leaning over the rail of the car, Kay saw Condicut brightly lit. He heard a few notes from the famous Condicut bells. The unicorns were now going so fast that a moment later he saw the pinnacled tower of Tatchester Cathedral floodlit for the great night. In an instant he saw all the lights of Tatchester. "Of course," he thought, "everybody in the city has lit a window as part of the celebration." The unicorn swerved suddenly, then swerved again, in a great sweep, cutting in ahead of the team of lions, who roared with rage at being passed. Dipping down, both sleighs skimmed into the snow and galloped its feathery surface for Tatchester Gate. A delicate faint noise of bells came to them from the Tatchester parish churches.
"Ah, there, listen now,"
one of the cathedral bell ringers said to Kay.
"Christmas Eve, near midnight, and no bells ringing in the cathedral. No, not one. These are only St. Margaret's and St. Wincomb's. I never thought to hear so unchristian a silence. Never."
"There's nothing stamps a Christian time more than its bells," Colehauling said.
"And a wandering man gives heed to bells, for often in the dark night they will ring him home, who would otherwise be ate by wolves and that."
"I could weep," another bell ringer said, "that our great bell, old Trupenny of 1427, isn't throwing his tongue. He did ring in King Henry from the French wars, old Trupenny."
"We might still be in time to start old Trupenny," the Dean said. "It's still not 12:15. We're nearly there. The only questions are, can we reach the cathedral in all this snow, and have these ruffians who kidnapped us stolen the bell tower keys, or cut the bell ropes?"
"We shall soon know, sir," Cole said. "The snow is deep. It has been a sad storm. Wolves' weather, as we used to say in King Harold's time." Now that they were over the common, nearing the gate, Kay could see what desolation the storm had wrought. The telegraph poles were down. The brackets of telephone wires had been wrenched from buildings. 2 old elms on the council piece had been uprooted, and the snow had drifted so deep at the gate and in the high street that no one had trodden it nor tried to drive it. The way was white, unspecked snow, deserted under the lamps. The sleighs turned up the narrow lane known as St. Margaret's Barbican. The snow scattered from their runners with a crisp, soft, slithering swish. It was so deep in that narrow lane that Kay could see into the lighted rooms on the first floors of the old houses. He saw old black beams, old men and women drinking to Christmas, or stooped over children's stockings as they filled them with toys, neat surprise packages, eggs of delight, and oranges. All the narrow lane boomed and hummed with the noise of the bells of St. Margaret's Church. Tremblings of music went thronging by in the air. "Where are we going to, please?" Kay asked.
"To the Parvis St. Michael, Master Kay,"
Herne said. Now the Parvis St. Michael was a space in front of the cathedral's north door. It had once been part of the monastery. A wall still shut it from the approach to the west door, which was in the precincts. From the Parvis there was a wicket into the cloisters. The sleighs sped out of St. Margaret's Lane into the Parvis. As they entered it, the cathedral suddenly rose up in front of them with its enormous black bulk, its windows unlit, its tower transfigured with floodlight, its ledges, mouldings and carvings all topped with snow. A man held up a lantern to check the unicorns. He came slowly past the team to the sleigh with his lantern lifted, so he might see who was there. He tracked a spade from his left hand. Kay noticed that he wore a dark, rough, sackcloth overall, and that other men, clad like him, were shovelling snow from the north door. On the farther side of the wall, the scrape of shovels on stone told Kay the other workers were clearing the west door.
"Ah, pass in, brothers, to St. Michael's door. We've cleared the way for ye,"
the man who held the lantern said. He waved his light, and Hearn moved the unicorns up the path to the door. The shovellers stood aside as they passed, and called blessings on them. They were all little men, Kay thought, with faces which looked white and tense in that dark place. I believe all their heads are shaven, Kay thought. Are these the monks?
These are the monks of the Abbey, Master Harker,
Cole Hawlings said.
For on such a Christmas Eve, what one of them would keep away? They've all come for the glory of St. Michael's Abbey.
Whoever they were, they'd cleared a way to the door. The clergy and bell ringers flung aside their rugs and pressed into the porch of the dark north door. The leader of the snow shovelers held his lantern, while the bishop left his sleigh. Kay long remembered the thin, eager faces of the monks on both sides of the approach, lit by the lantern.
Pass in, my Lord Bishop,
some voices said. It was strange. No one knew why the Parvis had been called Parvis St. Michael. This night it was clear. A big statue of St. Michael stood at the entrance to the porch. There he stood, in painted armour, as though he'd just been carved there. There was someone inside the porch, working at the fuse box, with a clutter of tools and one little inefficient electric torch.
Mine, please,
this man said. You can pass in on this side.
Ah, the bishop said. It is Winter, the electrician. Can you give us the lights in the cathedral?
Why, welcome back, my Lord Bishop, he said.
Welcome indeed. But as to the lights, I can't yet give you as much as one. No, not a light. Oh, dear, your grace, he said. No, the storm's got all the lights wrong. Whether it's these fuses or something worse, I can't at the moment say.
The clock in the central tower gave a heavy tocking whir and rang out.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
Just a quarter of an hour, the dean said, to robe and get the bells and lights and organ going. I wonder will that snow shoveler very kindly lend me his lantern? Oh, thank you so much. Come then, will you please, to the dean's cell, where we shall know whether the keys have been taken. He led the way into the end of the dark north aisle, where he unlocked the office known as the dean's cell. He struck a light and lit the tapers, which he sometimes used for heating sealing wax. No, they've left us alone, he said. Here are all the keys. There, on the walls, neatly ticketed and hung with plaques of wood or brass to keep them from being easily pocketed, were all the cathedral keys. Some clergymen in robes had been waiting outside the office, now welcomed the dean. I'm Joe Selwart, one of them said. We're all here ready to carry on in case of need. We're so glad that you're back. If you'll allow us, we'll go up to light the choir. When they'd gone, the dean gave his other orders. Bell ringers first, the dean said. Here are your keys for the belfry. You may still have time to ring the bells in and start a chime before midnight. Now, where's my Lord Bishop gone? He's gone to robe, the bishop's chaplain cried. He promised long ago to bless the bell ringers in the tower tonight before they began to ring. I was afraid for a moment, the dean said, lest he should have been captured again. Now, vergers, take quickly all the wax candles in the storeroom and set them in the old sconces along the nave and along the transepts. They will at least make the darkness visible. Choir boys, quick, to the vestry, to robe. Anyone who's got nothing to do with the service, get out candles, please, with the vergers and help them to light the doors. We must let in the people in a moment. Who are those there, please? Oh, Mr. Hawlings and Kay, it's you. Will you please very kindly take these old bronze incense tripods to the west doors? Put wax candles in them and light them, so that people coming in may see where they are treading. Oh, and open the west doors, will you please? Kay had not seen him enter the church, but when he and Cole had placed the bronze tripods near the great entrance, there was Arnold of Tawdy beside them. He looked perhaps madder than ever, brighter in the eye and queerer in his way. Ah, for this is the feast of nativity. Your pardon and excuse this night he Christmas? Yes, Kay said. Yes, Mr. Arnold. Christmas dans Saint Menu. Ha, Arnold said. Then I am back in Anno Domini.
Yes, to be sure, Cole said. And you must have a sup from my bottle that I brought all the way from Spain for you. And here is your box of delights that you have been parted from for so long.
No, no, Arnold said. Keep it. Now that I'm back in Anno Domini, I'll stay here. Thank you. Mon Dieu, he added. Must you have a sup from my bottle that came from a temple, which Alexander took? See, now I will show. He produced a small glass bottle, which he opened over one of the bronze incense tripods. He poured into the cup of this little fragrant oil from his bottle. He poured a few drops more into the second of the censers. Watch now, he said. As Kay watched, the oil burst into a bright light, which lit up that end of the nave. So Alexander found it burning, Arnold said, in that temple beyond the Gedulstian waste, or one of the other wastes. It will burn for 700 years, being oil of eternity. It burned now so clearly that Kay heard the people outside the west door cheering. He heard cries of, "Hooray, there go the lights, there's going to be a service after all." Some hands pounded on the doors as Kay and Cole turned the giant key in the lock and dragged back the bolts one by one. All Tatchester seemed to be gathered outside there, waiting to get in. "Oh," some were saying, "whoever's going to take the service, have they found the clergy?" "No, indeed," others said. "Nor ever will, I'm afraid. No, the poor bishop's in his grave by this. I'm told the dean's legs have been found done up in brown paper, gaiters and all, in the Brighton waiting room." "These people go murdering like wolves. They stick at nothing." As Cole Hauling seized one leaf of the double door, Kay seized the other. They swung the great doors back as far as they would go. The light from the tripods lit up a sea of faces gathered there, cheering the opening of the doors. As the cheers rose, Kay saw that a great table had been laid immediately outside the door. This table was heaped with boxes of chocolates, bottles of sweets, dolls of all sorts and sizes, bats, balls, hoops, peg-tops, humming-tops, boxes of bricks and of soldiers, toy ships, kites, toy aeroplanes and crackers, fruits and books and papers, musical instruments and charming little mechanical toys. By this table were the 3 Jones girls, each dressed in white. With them was the dog Barney, who barked with joy to see old Cole again. "Woke up," little Maria was saying. "Woke up, parents. This is the Joneses' Christmas Fund, organised by Maria Jones as a token of her great gratitude for having been thrice expelled from school. Every parent of a child attending this service is entitled to 1 package per child." "Hello, Maria," Peter said. "Hello, you two. I hear they've got the scoundrels," Maria called. "We had it on the wireless, but we'll talk about that later. Is yours a girl or a boy, madam?" She and her sisters pressed packages onto all those who came thronging into the church. At this instant, the organ sent out some spiring and quavering rumbles, which passed into sleeper's wake. Then with a sudden burst of light, all the cathedral lights went on, shone for one glorious instant, went out again, recovered, and then burned clearly. The electrician had found out what was amiss. Now that the west doors were open, Kay could hear the cathedral bells were ringing. He stayed there, listening to them for a moment or two. Old Cole was beside him, saying, "A happy sight, a blessed sight, Master Harker. All these coming here to sing." Arnold of Tawdy went up to the nave to stare at the decorations. He seemed to Kay to be in a trance of pleasure at being certainly back in Anno Domini. "Just 2 minutes more to go, Master Harker," the old Cole said. There came the sound of many men marching to a drum tap. A clear voice called an order. With a clink of metal and grunt of leather, the band of the famous Tatchir regiment, the Tatchir Toms, moved into position beside the church. A and B companies of the same glorious battalion filed into place there, with the old blue and white colours, once a Spanish lady's dress, under which the survivors of the regiment had fought all one blazing summer's day in the never-to-be-forgotten wheat field of San Luis Frontera against the massed might of Messina's veterans, as history books said. There came an instant's silence. Then crash came the salute of cannon in the barrack square for the stroke of midnight. In all the church towers of Tatchir men fired the bells. Organ and brass bands struck up, full strength.
The vestry door curtains fell back to each side. Out came the great cathedral crosses and blessed banners, with all the cathedral choir and clergy, with all voices lifted aloft in "Come all ye faithful." By this time, the triforium and clerestories, as well as every space in the cathedral, was packed with faces. All there sang as they'd never sung. The singing shook the whole building. Somehow, it seemed to Kay that it was shaking the cathedral to pieces. All the heads came off all the bodies and moved up into the air, still singing. He himself was being shaken to pieces. His horn head was surely coming off, still singing through the cathedral roof. In fact, the cathedral was not there, nor any of all that glorious company. No, he was in a railway carriage on a bitterly cold day. The train was stopped. He was at Condicut station, with his pocket full of money, just home for the holidays, and Caroline Louisa was waking him. "Why, Kay," she was saying, "wake up, wake up. You've been sound asleep. Welcome home for the holidays. Have you had a nice dream?" "Yes," he said, "I have." The end.